Dear students, we saw the meaning of economic growth in the earlier lecture. In this lecture, we will check the meaning of economic development. The objectives of this lecture are to understand the meaning of economic development, to distinguish between growth and development, to evaluate the factors and the processes which lead to economic growth. Now, it is important to understand that economic development connotes welfare and inclusion of all segments of the population and all sectors of the economy by equitable, just or appropriate distribution of growth. Development is said to have occurred when growth leads to increased welfare. Therefore, it is natural to ask whether welfare in all sectors and of all segments of the people can be enhanced at the same time or not, and can some people be made better off and some may get worse off in a growth process? The answer is yes. Some people can get better off and some may get worse off in the process of distribution. However, priorities must be identified and the priority areas, the priority segments of population must be made better off. Sometimes, if some areas are made better off, they will trigger development of other sectors. For example, when richer sections are taxed higher in different ways, then their welfare reduces. But with the increased tax revenues, the state can create more infrastructures which can subsequently enhance the welfare of all people and sectors. Therefore, let us now check some definitions of economic development. First, a very comprehensive definition of economic development was presented by Michael P. Todaro. According to this definition, development must be conceived as a multidimensional process involving major changes in social structures, popular attitudes and national institutions, as well as the acceleration of economic growth, the reduction of inequality and the eradication of absolute poverty. Development in its essence must represent the whole gamut of change by which an entire social system tuned to the diverse basic needs and desires of individuals and social groups within the system moves away from a condition of life widely perceived as unsatisfactory and towards a situation or condition of life regarded as materially and spiritually better. Professor Mayer and Baldwin defined economic development as a process whereby an economy's real national income increases over a long period of time. This definition explains three ingredients of economic development: A, process; B, real national income; C, long period. The discussion of these three factors would help in understanding the concept of economic development. Let us understand process. Development is a process. It occurs over a long period of time through several gradual and successive changes. It cannot be attained by one program, one event or one decision. What is real national income? Development necessarily means a steady rise in the real national income. Now, real income is equal to money income divided by the price index in the economy. Price index is the index of all prices of all important commodities consumed by majority people of the country. It indicates in a way the level of inflation in an economy. Other things being equal, there is a positive correlation between the real national income and economic development. Higher real national income of a country is considered an index of higher economic development and vice versa. In a way, the real national income is the measuring rod of economic development, though it is not a perfect method for measuring development. If the growth of monetary national income of a country is very high, but the price level is also very high, then the purchasing power of the monetary income becomes low. Thus, real income is the purchasing power of money income. Let us take an example. If the money income is rupees 1000 and the price of a commodity is rupees 10, then one can purchase 100 units of the commodity. Now, if the money income rises to rupees 2000, but at the same time price rises to rupees 50, then one can purchase only 40 units of the commodity. Thus, though the monetary income has increased, the purchasing power remains low owing to a rise in the price. Let us look at this example in another way. If a nation produces 40 units of a commodity which are priced at rupees 50 per unit, the national income will be rupees 2000. But if a nation produces 100 units of a commodity at a price of rupees 10, then the national income is rupees 1000 only, but there are more goods for people to consume and hence a greater consumer welfare is attained. Hence, a higher monetary income does not necessarily mean more consumer welfare or a higher development. A nation must therefore strive to first produce more quantities of goods and services and also reduce prices of goods produced. Another feature of Mayer and Baldwin's definition is a long period of time. This definition mentions that economic development refers to an upward trend in the real national output over a long period. So, what is a long period of time? Long period of time is generally a period over an entire trade cycle. Trade cycle is a cycle of economic activity characterized by rise, boom, recession, depression and finally recovery. The recovery period may mark the beginning of a new cycle. Economists have identified that one cycle spreads over a period of 13 to 18 years. Let us now check the definition by Bernard Ockham and Richard Richardson. Economic development may be defined as a sustained secular improvement in well-being, which may be considered to be reflected in an increasing flow of goods and services. According to this definition, economic development implies continuous secular increase in national output for promoting material welfare of the society. It stresses on three important aspects of development. First, economic development is a dynamic and long-term phenomenon. Second, it implies improvement in material welfare. And third, national output is the measuring rod of material welfare. Professors Barron, Buchanan and Ellis interpret economic development as something more than merely an increase in total output. They believe that it should also denote a rising standard of living. They define economic development as a process whereby the total per capita income or output of a country increases over the long period. Professor Barron says, let economic growth or development be defined as an increase over time in per capita output of material goods. In the words of Professor Buchanan and Ellis, development means developing the real income potentialities of the underdeveloped areas by using investment to effect those changes and to augment the productive resources which promise to raise the real income per person. Thus, they emphasized that the rate of increase in real national income should be more than the rate of increase in population. If the real national income is rising over a time period, but if the rate of population increase is also high, then the per capita real income will be lower, signifying lower welfare. Hence, real national income should grow more than the increase in population. Here the symbol delta represents a change. And let us also understand what is per capita income. Per capita income is the total income divided by the population. Professor Colin Clark defines economic development from the angle of economic welfare. In his words, economic progress can be defined simply as an improvement in economic welfare. A.C. Pigou defines economic welfare in terms of abundance of all those goods and services which are customarily exchanged for money. Now, leisure is an element in economic welfare, and more precisely, we can define economic progress as the attaining of an increasing output of goods and services for a minimum expenditure of effort and of other scarce resources, both natural and artificial. It is important to note in this definition that individuals value leisure and hence want to minimize effort. According to United Nations Expert Committee, development concerns not only man's material needs, but also the improvement of the social conditions of her or his life. Development is therefore not only economic growth, but economic growth plus change, social, cultural, institutional as well as economic. This definition encompasses economic and non-economic aspects of development. This definition stresses on the expansion of development variables and also improving the quality of those variables. For example, capital is a development variable, hence its productivity must increase along with its quantity to effect development. Similar instances can be given in respect of other development variables. The central point of this definition is that quantitative and qualitative changes in development variables are considered essential ingredients of economic development. Professor Kindleberger has given the differences between growth and development as growth may well imply not only more output, but also more inputs and more efficiency, that is, an increase in output per unit of input. Development goes beyond these to imply changes in the structure of outputs and the allocation of inputs by sectors. Let us take an analogy. By analogy with human beings, growth involves focusing on height and weight, while development must mean the change in functional capacity, in a way the development of the brain. Cancross observes, development is not just a matter of having plenty of money, nor is it purely an economic phenomenon. It embraces all aspects of social behavior, the establishment of law and order, scrupulousness in business dealings, including dealings with the revenue authorities, relationships between the family, literacy, familiarity with mechanical gadgets, and so on. Thus, he emphasized upon some of the essential non-economic factors which determine economic growth of an economy. In this context, dear friends, can we relate the process of demonetization, remonetization and a less cash economy with the help of modern gadgets? Let us now check some of the indicators of development. First, growth of real national output. Second, growth of real per capita income. Third, increase in productivity of all factors of production. Fourth, growth in output with conservation of resources. Fifth, sustainability of growth parameters and of welfare policies. Sixth, equitable distribution of national income, productive assets and opportunities between all segments of the population. Seventh, a very important aspect, gender equality. Eighth, easy and cheap access to necessities of life like food, clothing, shelter, health facilities, etc. Ninth, access to technology, information, education and capacity building. 10th, freedom of expression. 11th, security of life and belongingness. Hence, development means a process of continuous improvement in economic growth process and in human welfare. Michael P. Todaro, in his book titled Economic Development in the Third World, mentions three basic components or core values given by Professor Gawler and others as a conceptual basis and guideline for understanding the meaning of development. These are: first, life sustenance, the ability to provide basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, security, protection. Second, self-esteem, to be a person, to be able to identify economic equity, social justice, dignity, respect, honor, capabilities, modernizing values, sense of self-worth, which can come with education, awareness and equality in opportunities. Third, freedom from servitude, be able to choose from expanded range of choices, having information, freedom from a dogmatic and dictatorial world, freedom from shackles of poverty, etc. W. Arthur Lewis stressed the relationship between economic growth and servitude, asserting that the advantage of economic growth is not that wealth increases happiness, but that it increases the range of human choices. Wealth can enable a person to gain greater control over nature and her physical environment. The three objectives of development mentioned by Todaro are: first, to increase the availability and widen the distribution of basic life sustaining goods such as food, shelter, health and protection. Second, to raise the levels of living, which includes, besides higher incomes, the provision of more jobs, better education and greater attention to cultural and humanistic values, all of which will serve not only to enhance material well-being, but also to greater individual and national self-esteem. Third, to expand the range of economic and social choices available to individuals and nations by freeing them from servitude and dependence, not only in relation to other people and nation states, but also to the forces of ignorance and human misery. We can compare the sowing of seeds as policy efforts of the society and the state towards initiating a process of growth and development. The physical growth of a sapling into a tree is called growth. When the tree sustains weather odds and starts bearing fruits after a lag, it can be termed as furthering the process of development. When the society uses fruits in various ways to enhance nutrition, employment, generate further growth, it becomes a sustaining process of development. Growth can be sustained through development of opportunities, ideas, technology. Dear friends, let us now summarize what we have learnt from today's lecture. We have understood now that there is a difference between the concepts of growth and development. That growth is a progress in terms of increased quantities of economic parameters, while development occurs when overall welfare is enhanced by properly channelizing the growth parameters. Several experts have provided explanation of economic development from various perspectives. What have we learnt in today's session? Economic development should mean an improvement in the present state of being. Concepts of economic growth and economic development are not synonymous. Growth helps to improve development. Development means increasing the range of choices which people can make, a continuous increase in real national income, sustained secular improvement in well-being, an increase in per capita output or per capita income over a long period of time, a change in the structure of output. In a way, development is a multidimensional change which pertains to qualitative changes in beliefs, attitudes, national institutions, reduction in inequality and poverty, and a shift from a situation of life perceived as unsatisfactory to a situation of betterment.